Hi all, good morning. As per my promise, industry is heavily depend on the design and architecture. As we already aware of that many of the enterprise level code requires good level of understanding of design and architecture. If your design and architecture is solid, you will build a good level of implementation, good level of good quality of product, having lots of good features which attracts your customer. All these things happen only if your design and architecture of that software product is best ever produced for that product. So that's why the focusing on design and architecture is very important. Now, how we will start learning the design and architecture, from where you will start. So the next point is to understand what should be the beginning of learning of design and architecture. I am sure that lots of fellow who are experienced in industry, they can easily relate with it that design and architecture is fundamentally based on design principle. And design principle also, like you have to start from solid design principle. Now the point is, already on internet or public forum, there are so many videos on solid design principle. Why I am starting it? Like if I rephrase this question, then my question would be like, what inspired me to start solid design principle series, right? What inspired me to start solid design principle video and how it is going to benefit? So in my opinion, anything which required intuitive, different and a very unique approach, which is the way your brain perceive new things or new principles or anything, like anything new learning, the way your brain perceive, if some content is based on that principle, will help you to easily catch those concepts very quickly and almost for lifelong. You never going to forget it. So I'm assuring you that I will give you the new perspective of solid design principle for you. And I'm sure that after watching this video, you will realize that this content is definitely nailed down on that segment. The next question is how your video on solid design principle is different than others. As I told you, lots of content is everywhere, but mostly they are talking about solid means single responsibility principle, O means OCP, like that. So, but in my video, you will see that anything which is fundamentally you are doing inside the industry, software industry, be it is in code review, be it is a best design, be it a best practices, all these comes from solid design principle. So even though you are writing 100 lines of code, if you will follow certain rules which every engineer should follow, that also would be mostly driven from these design principles. So you don't need to mug up all these design principles. You just understand how you will see the things, how you will write the best code possible in very intuitive manner. No need to mug up anything here. Now the next thing is, can you give one example of differentiation factor? Yes, of course I can give you many examples, but suppose one example is, suppose you are writing a class, and that class, whatever the attribute is putting inside the class, if this is creating variety of flavor for your class, do you think this is easy to understand? Of course not. Be it a programmer, you can easily realize that as much as your class is directing towards the uniformity and uniqueness, like by just looking at few attributes of your class, if someone can view it that class is doing X, that means your purpose is fulfilled. It is easy to understand, it is easy to extend, it is easy to deal with those kind of faults, right? Even though you don't know single responsive principle, if you can fundamentally or intuitively think about the code, how you can write the better code, you can see that SRP by default in your code. This is the first point I would like to mention, and this is the differentiation factor. You will see my series of video for solid design principle. Follow any principle, it will work. But when you work on the large software enterprise company code base, you will see that if you are not following these intuitive and very fundamental principle, your code will be becoming complex and complex, and which is not easy to understand. So you are fundamentally breaking the maintenance principle. You are saying that you are making the code less maintainable, which is the hazardous in the long run. Okay. The next question is, when you will expect this complete video series? Okay, so in my point of view, as per my availability, I believe that I would able to complete by this weekend, and you will see all the related video in by weekend related to solid design principle. But as I told you, this is unique in some sense, and the sense is I should talk about the fundamental principle of designing an architecture. So it's not about only solid. Solid is one way of representing it. But I can extend this solid design principle to next level also, where if your intuition is built on those kind of different aspects, you will start seeing that your code quality is improved in terms of maintainability. It is easy to extend. It is easy to, for any new guy who want to see your code, they can easily understand your code. Lots of best practices, you will see that this is also intuitive if you follow such principles, and so on and so forth. The next question for this video series is, do you have any offline resource if someone interested in getting more detailed information? Yes, I will share some link of my GitHub where you can find further analysis. But later, after a few months might be, I will share some sites where you will get lots of related content in the form of question answer, which is easily understandable with the example of code, and if it is required, then I will put the code. If otherwise, the conceptual and intuitive way to understand those principles. Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot.